Hello and welcome to another video with Average Guy's Garage. If you've been following the progress of the 2000 Corolla, it's a playlist that we have on the channel. We're trying to get the transmission fixed. Engine runs good. This is the transmission that was taken out of the Corolla. We put a replacement in that we bought from a junkyard. That one is not working at all. It'll shift. It just won't develop any power to move move the car. The only problem we had with this transmission was it wouldn't go into reverse. All the forward gears were very strong. So after watching a couple videos, especially Eric the car guy, he tore apart this exact transmission. We're going to take this bell housing part off, and that will reveal the stack of clutch packs. So we're going to take the clutch packs out and see if the clutch pack for the reverse is damaged. And since all the forward gears were in good shape, it should be obvious which of the clutch packs are bad, if that's the problem. If it's not a solenoid or a flow problem or a anything like that else going on. But this is a real easy to take this off, look at the clutches, see if that is indeed an issue. So we'll get started on that momentarily. Seems pretty easy. Alright, those are all the ones that are on the inside. See if I can get those out. Turn that news off for a minute. Alright, let's see how these match up. They look to be the same, so they can go back together there. Go into the same pile. See a little bit of residual Loctite on there. And a couple of them did give me a little time getting them off, but nothing that that impact couldn't handle. Make sure I use some Loctite when that goes back together. Alright, so is that enough to get that off, or do I have to get these off as well? I think I'll go back and re-watch that video first before I try to pry this bell housing off. Right, we're going to see if we can find a place to loosen it. Couple places to wedge the bolt I left there. Alright, there we go. That's coming up pretty well. Be gentle with it. Move my way around. Basically, it's coming off from around the pump right here. I get it to lift off the pump. Let me tip the camera in so you can see. So it's lifting off from around the pump right here. Once I get this side lifted off, then I'll be able to lift this whole section off. Alright, I think it's loose all the way around. Set some space to set it down. There we go. That's the bell housing. It's pretty lightweight. So inside of here, we have our differential, and then this is the clutch stack right here, it looks like. I'm pretty sure, possibly. Anyway, we'll take this pump off and see what's behind here, and then we'll go from there. You can see that the connection was made here with some silicone sealant. I don't believe there's a gasket for this part of the transmission. So of course when we put it back together, we'll clean up these surfaces, find out what's the best sealant for it. There's a couple locating pins right here to make sure it's aligned when it goes back on. Take these bolts out next. Keep them separate, I believe, from the bolts for the housing. These bolts and the bolts for the housing are 12 millimeter. Okay, let's collect these guys. 6 bolts. And I want to see if they're different in any way. They're shorter. See if I can get my hands around here. They are a little bit shorter than the ones for the bell housing. Alright, so this right here is where all of the clutches are. This stack right here. So we're going to take this pin out right here to release the band, and then we should be able to lift out the first set here and then work our way down, keeping everything together because we don't want to put it back in the wrong order, things like that. So I just put a set of vice grips on this pin, and it should come out and release that band okay. Okay, there's this plastic ring that sits on top. Get this first pack out of here. Alright, come on out. Alright, there's the first one. And you can see it's held in place by this slip ring right here to examine these. So I'm going to take these out one by one so I can make sure they go back in. I'm going to get some tape and I'm going to mark each of these. So I'm going to go from the top and call it 1, 2, 3 all the way down. Alright, so I've marked the first clutch pack 1. And even look, there's a line right there. I don't know if that means 1 or not. Somebody may have worked on it before. So just keep an eye on that. Go to the next one if I can. First I'm going to take out this band here. And here's the band. So the band sits in here like this. The pin goes through here, and then the solenoid that pushes the band pushes on this part right here, and then when that pushes, it pinches this band around that pack right there. So now here's another one, and with this one, this entire shaft is coming out with it. It has a ring around it here that meshes in 3 places on this ring, on this one here. So I'm just looking in here, and I don't know if that's missing teeth or that's how it's supposed to be. There's places where it looks like they're not broken, but it just looks like maybe that's the design of it. A couple places here, a couple places here, but it's smooth. It doesn't look like it's broken. So this is number 2, and it contains this shaft with it here. So I'll mark this number 2. Continue to work down on these clutch packs to see if I can detect one that has some burned out friction pads. Alright, I've got that one marked for number 2. And I'm going to see if I can bring out the next pack here. Oh, in the next one we actually have our Planetary Gear is next. And here's our Planetary Gear set up here. So Planetary Gear fits back together, and I'm just looking at the metal. I don't know if that's discolored from heat or what's the deal with that. Doesn't look to be anything broken. So Planetary Gear sits in this way with the planetary gears down. So we're looking a little closer. We have those first 2 packs out, and they're labeled 1 and 2, and then here is the first Planetary Gear. I've got that labeled number 3, and then we're going to pull this out next, and this goes down. There's a shaft through here. We'll label that one number 4. So we'll get that started here in a second. Just taking a little look around. Okay. All right. Pull that next one out here in a second. Okay. This is number 4. And it kind of just sits there. This goes into the next Planetary Gears that are down below here. So when it goes in, it kind of settles into the gears. See how that's, I'm turning this and that's turning this entire mechanism here. See a little something in here. Let me get that out. Okay, so I'm going to take this out, and it has a ring right here that's got three little spots for it there. Those have to fit in with those little tabs right there, and that goes down this way in, and we'll call this number 4. dry spot on it so I can label it. Alright, now we'll go back in for the next part. Alright, now the next part is being held in by a ring right here that we'll take this ring off and then be able to pull the next pack out. Okay, there's the ring. And that ring was holding this plate. And this plate is pushing on the return, the springs here. So this was riding like this. And so when that spring goes back in here, we're going to have to push down hard enough to squeeze these to get that back down so we can get this spring into the proper area. So the springs, the return springs, unfortunately they don't pop off. And that ring, we're going to call that number 5. I'll put all this together in one assembly. So it goes springs down, those springs will disengage components when it needs to. So I want to put a number 5 on this with the ring. So that's all together now, and that's number 5. Now I want to take a quick look in here, record this. You see there's now some packs here that can come out, some clutch packs, and they have to go back in this configuration. So over here on this side there's 3 tabs. 3 tabs go in between these 4 And on the other side, there's only 3 tabs and 2 tabs. So those rings have to go back in that particular way, where these 3 tabs go in between these 4 and these 3 tabs here, and that's how they have to fit. So we'll take those out next. And you can see the steel tab, the friction material, another steel tab, and here is a center gear, and it is tabbed to go in. Sorry, kicking the camera. It's tabbed to go in, and it has to go in a specific way. It's got a larger tab on this side than it does on this side, and that sits on top of the next planetary gear down here. I'm just putting it in to make sure it goes right before I continue. Make sure that fits right. And here's the rest of those clutch . And then the final one is the final steel piece. This is different than the others. It has that part on the bottom there. I'm going to stack these with how they go. This is how they came out. Of course, they're not lined up, but there we go. Like that. Alright, so we're getting close now to the final planetary gear, and there is another spring clip to take out here that's a little smaller. I'm going to take that clip out, remove this planetary gear, see if there's any more clutch packs down there, because right now I've got 1, 2, 3. There should be one more. Maybe 2 more. We'll see. Not sure. And then I'll start reassembling so I can get it closed up. All right. It lifted out pretty easy, ready to come out. Okay. Alright, here's a spring holding the next part in. Put all this together. Okay. Let's see what's coming out next.